Ferrari boys give their predictions for the upcoming season. Lewis Hamilton very optimistic about the state of that Ferrari car. He tried to get some insight from McLaren and from Mercedes as to how they feel their tests went. He didn't get very far with those discussions, but sandbagging was no doubt rampant around Bahrain. But Charles Leclerc puts a different team into the conversation as being ahead of Ferrari right now. The PR war continues as all of the teams tried to play down their performance. Who's really going to be out on top in Australia?
Lewis Hamilton just stunned everybody with his 2026 season, and his message has all his rivals scratching their heads. That's Lewis Hamilton in 2026. And this week, he just sent a message that stopped the entire F1 world in its tracks. I'm grateful for the doubters.
Hamilton! 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 Lewis Hamilton!
Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why every single one of his rivals is scratching their heads right now. Let's just take a second to appreciate what we are witnessing. Lewis Hamilton is entering his 20th season of Formula 1. 20 seasons, 20 380 Grand Prix starts, a record 105 race wins, a record 104 pole positions, and 7 world championships, equal only to the legendary Michael Schumacher. Think about that. When Hamilton started his F1 career back in 2007, Cristiano Ronaldo had just won his first Ballon d'Or, the iPhone had just been released, and a young kid from Stevenage was about to shock the world by nearly winning the championship in his very first season. And now, almost 2 decades later, he is still here. But here's the thing, this isn't just a feel-good anniversary story, because Hamilton just posted something on Instagram that is impossible to ignore. On the eve of the 2026 Australian Grand Prix, Hamilton shared a post with one image from every single season of his career, and then he wrote this: 20 seasons as an F1 driver. It's hard to even grasp the reality of that number. It started with a dream some called ridiculous and said would never amount to anything. He went on, there will always be people who doubt you, people who try to block you, but you can't ever stop fighting. And then, this is the line that sent shockwaves through the paddock. I'm grateful for the doubters and for the ones who tried to knock me down. I'm still here, 20 years on, still standing, still hungry, still focused on the dream. No holding back. After the worst season of his career, after being outqualified by his own teammate, after going the entire season without a single podium, after publicly admitting he felt absolutely useless, Lewis Hamilton has come back and said, no holding back. Now let's talk about something that not enough people appreciate, Hamilton's actual driving style. Because this is a huge reason why at 41, he can still compete at the very top. Lewis Hamilton is what engineers call a complete driver. He doesn't rely on one trick, he uses everything. Corner entry. Hamilton is famous for his ability to carry insane speed into corners, particularly slow-speed corners where most drivers have to brake hard and early. He bleeds speed gradually, keeping the car balanced on the edge of grip. Tyre management. This is where Hamilton is arguably the greatest who has ever lived. He has an almost supernatural ability to feel what his tyres are doing. He can run longer stints than almost anyone else, preserving rubber while maintaining competitive lap times. At races like Spain 2017 and Abu Dhabi 2019, he turned tyre management into an art form. Wet weather. Ask any F1 engineer and they'll tell you, Hamilton in the rain is a completely different animal. His 2008 Monaco Grand Prix, Nürburgring 2011, Silverstone 2008. He doesn't just drive well in the wet, he hunts in the wet. Adaptability. And this is the key thing heading into 2026. The new regulations, completely overhauling F1's aerodynamic and power unit rules, are expected to produce cars that are more mechanical grip dependent, with less reliance on ground effect downforce. Experts like Sky Sports' Anthony Davidson believe these cars will suit Hamilton's style perfectly. He'll be able to work the front end, feel the car and use that silky smooth technique that made him a 7-time champion. The cars that gave him trouble in 2022, 2024 and 2025, those stiff, sensitive, ground effect machines that needed an aggressive, flamboyant style like his teammate Charles Leclerc's. But with the 2026 cars, Hamilton could genuinely rediscover that form that made him unstoppable. You cannot tell this story without talking about Max Verstappen, because the doubters Hamilton mentions in that post, many people believe he's talking, at least in part, about what happened on December 12, 2021, Abu Dhabi, the final lap of the season. Hamilton was leading the World Championship. He was on course for a record-breaking 8th title. And then, in the most controversial finish in Formula 1 history, the safety car rules were manipulated, a handful of lapped cars were cleared, and Verstappen, on fresh soft tyres, overtook Hamilton in the final lap. 1 lap, that's all it took. 8 years of work, gone. And since then, Verstappen has been absolutely ruthless. 3 consecutive world championships. The 2023 season in particular was the most dominant in F1 history, 19 wins from 22 races. He broke Hamilton's own records. He made everyone look ordinary. But here's what's fascinating. In 2026, everything resets. New cars, new engines, new regulations. And Ferrari, with their innovative 2026 package, are being tipped alongside Mercedes as genuine title contenders. Meanwhile, Red Bull's dominance may not survive the regulation change in the same way. Martin Brundle, who has seen everything in F1, said this about Hamilton's chances. A happy Lewis has always been a fast Lewis. Ferrari have been quite innovative over the winter, and I'm confident Lewis will have a better year. And the pre-season testing, Hamilton was flying, comfortable in the car, smiling, setting competitive times. The Hamilton who looked broken and defeated in 2025, he is gone. This Hamilton is different. So is Lewis Hamilton the greatest of all time? Let's just look at the numbers. 105 race wins. Nobody else is close. Verstappen is second, with 63 as of 2025. 104 pole positions. Again, nobody else. 7 world championships. Only Schumacher matches him, and Hamilton achieved his across 3 different rule eras, with different teams, against different generations of rivals. He has competed against Alonso, Raikkonen, Button, Rosberg, Vettel, Ricciardo, Bottas and Verstappen, some of the finest drivers in the sport's history, and he has beaten them all at some point. And the thing about GOAT debates, numbers don't tell the whole story. Senna never had the car Hamilton had. Schumacher's era was different. Comparisons across generations will always be imperfect. But what is undeniable is this: no driver has ever accumulated what Hamilton has accumulated. No one has ever been as consistently excellent, over as long a period, across as many different eras of the sport. And at 41, entering his 20th season, refusing to retire, saying no holding back, that is the mentality of a GOAT. 20 seasons ago, a kid from Stevenage walked into Formula One and changed the sport forever. He broke barriers, he broke records, he broke hearts, and had his own heart broken too. He lost a championship on the last lap of the last race of the season. He went an entire year without a podium. He was called finished, written off, too old, past it. And his response: I'm still here, still standing, still hungry, still focused on the dream, no holding back. Whether Lewis Hamilton wins an 8th world championship or not, what he represents goes far beyond racing. He represents what it looks like to refuse to give up, to keep believing when nobody else does. And this season, with Ferrari looking strong, the cars changing in his favor, and that fire still burning, don't count him out. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Drop a comment below. Do you think Hamilton can win an 8th title in 2026? Let me know. See you in the next one.
The pre-season is over. 2 weeks today, the teams will hit the track in Melbourne for the first time in an official capacity. But where do we stand? 6 days of testing in Bahrain, a 5-day shakedown in Barcelona before that. All the teams seem to agree there are 2 at the top of the pecking order, but no one really seems to know who is the favourites. Mercedes and Ferrari. Those are the 2 teams on everyone's tongues. Some say Mercedes are better in other conditions, but it was Charles Leclerc today dominating the timesheets. Was it a glory run? Are there other factors in play? Who are the real favourites when we go to Australia? This week is the final test ahead of the 2026 season opener, and yet more positivity surrounding Ferrari, yet more upgrades they're bringing to their car this week, in addition to confirmation that they were indeed using the new Shell biofuel in their very successful first Bahrain test just a few days ago. Lots of questions surrounding all the teams as to what fuels they're really running their engines on. We believe in Barcelona, largely a hybrid 2025 version, but now Ferrari's solid performance, and it's only going to get better according to rumours, is being run as we will see things in Melbourne.
We're going to be talking about a key decision that's been made on Ferrari as testing in 2026 comes to a close.
Ferrari just did something in Bahrain that nobody saw coming. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. The biggest signing in Formula One history. The most hyped driver transfer of all time. And yet, after 3 days of pre-season testing, his best lap of the entire week was a 1 minute 33.408. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, 1 minute 31.992 seconds. That's almost 1.5 seconds faster. And Leclerc didn't just beat Hamilton. He beat Lando Norris, the reigning world champion. He beat Max Verstappen. He beat George Russell. He beat everyone. Ferrari are back, and the 2026 season hasn't even started yet. Before we get into Leclerc's insane lap, let's set the stage. This was day 3, the final day of the second pre-season test in Bahrain. 2 tests, 3 days each, and this was it. The last look any team gets at their rivals before the season-opening Australian Grand Prix on March 6th to 8th. Ferrari made an interesting call going into Friday. They put Leclerc in the car for the entire day, all day, both sessions. That means 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, the man Ferrari paid a fortune to sign, sat in the garage and watched. Now, was that a statement? Was it strategic? We'll get to that. But here's what matters. Leclerc responded with the drive of pre-season testing. Meanwhile, there were a few notable situations playing out across the paddock. Aston Martin, absolute nightmare. Lance Stroll was supposed to be in the car all day. He completed just 6 laps, 0 timed laps. Because of a battery issue linked to Fernando Alonso's running the day before, Honda had almost no power unit parts left. A total disaster. Mercedes had their own morning drama when rookie Kimi Antonelli stopped on track with a pneumatic issue, losing over 2.5 hours while the team changed the power unit. George Russell had to pick up the slack in the afternoon. And McLaren, their reigning world champion Lando Norris didn't even emerge for the afternoon session until halfway through. McLaren were doing work on the MCL40 after Oscar Piastri had driven in the morning, so the chaos was real. But through all of it, Ferrari were just quietly cooking. Let's talk about the lap, the one that sent shockwaves through the entire paddock. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari SF26, C4 compound tyres, 1 minute, 31 seconds, and 992 thousandths. That is the fastest lap of the entire Bahrain pre-season test. Nobody, not Norris, not Verstappen, not Russell, got anywhere close. Almost 9/10 of a second over Norris in second, over a full second over Verstappen and Russell, and Leclerc also completed 132 laps. That's a full race distance and then some. But here's the thing you need to understand about testing. Lap times don't always tell the full story. Teams sandbag, they run heavy fuel loads, they manage tyres. So is this time for real? Well, Ferrari have been consistently quick across both tests, not just on single laps. Leclerc also ran a full race simulation at the hottest point of the day on Friday. Hot track, hot tyres, heavy fuel. And he was still right up there. That is not sandbagging, that is genuine pace. Now let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the 7-time champion sitting in the garage, Lewis Hamilton, the man who left Mercedes after over a decade of dominance to join Ferrari, the most talked about signing in the sport's history. His best lap of the entire week, a 1 minute 33.408. Leclerc's best, 1 minute 31.992. Now before you cancel Hamilton, let's be fair. Ferrari deliberately chose to run Leclerc all day Friday. Hamilton's running was split across different sessions and different programs. Teams manage how they use their drivers very deliberately in testing, but even accounting for all of that, the gap is significant, and it tells us something important. Right now, at this stage of the 2026 season, Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's weapon. He knows this car, he built it, he has been at Ferrari since 2019, and the SF26 feels like his machine. Hamilton is still learning. New team, new car, new power unit, completely new regulations. The story of his 2026 season will be how quickly he can close that gap to his teammate. And if pre-season testing is anything to go by, he has got serious work to do. Okay, here's something that is not getting enough attention, and it might be the story of the early 2026 season. Ferrari have figured out race starts in a way that nobody else has, and it is because of a very clever engineering decision made almost a year ago. Here's the background. Under the new 2026 power unit regulations, the MGUH has been removed. Previously, that component helped keep the turbo spinning at the right speed for a clean getaway. Without it, drivers now have to manually spool the turbo up to speed after reaching their grid slot, and that process can take up to 10 seconds. The further back you start, the less time you have to prepare. This has caused a real safety concern. Stalled cars, uneven launches, unpredictable getaways. F1 has even been trialing a new start procedure during the Bahrain test to try and fix it, but Ferrari went and solved the problem themselves. While other manufacturers built larger turbos, Ferrari deliberately designed a smaller turbo for the SF26. Smaller turbo means it spins up faster. Faster spin up means better launches. Better launches means positions gained right off the line. During the end-of-session practice race starts in Bahrain, Ferrari-powered cars were getting rocket ship launches. In one session, Lewis Hamilton started from the 5th row of the grid and led into the first corner, 5th row, into turn 1. First, Ferrari, Haas, and Cadillac, all Ferrari-powered, are all enjoying this benefit. And here's the kicker. Ferrari warned the FIA about this exact issue last year. The FIA didn't act, so Ferrari engineered it. Classic Scuderia Ferrari. If this advantage carries over to Melbourne, and there is every reason to think it will, we could see Ferrari gaining positions every single race weekend just from the standing start. That is absolutely massive. Let's do a quick rundown of where every team appears to be heading into Australia. Ferrari, the team to beat. Fastest single lap. Strong race simulation, rocket starts. Leclerc is confident and settled. Hamilton is adapting. The SF26 looks like a genuine title contender. Mercedes. Most of the paddock still sees them as the favourites for Melbourne. Their best long-run pace in testing was arguably ahead of Ferrari. Russell was 3/10 off his own best time from Thursday, probably holding back. Antonelli had a rough day but showed real promise earlier in the week. Do not sleep on the silver arrows. McLaren. Norris was only 0.879 off Leclerc despite missing massive chunks of track time. The MCL40 looks fast, but Red Bull might be closing in, and Norris cannot afford to fall behind early in his title defense. Red Bull. Verstappen was third, 1.177 off the pace. He himself admitted Red Bull obviously needs more performance. They were seen running corners in a lower gear than ideal, likely a power unit characteristic. Something to watch closely in Australia. Alpine. Pierre Gasly went 5th fastest. Alpine were last overall in 2025. If that time is even half representative, this is a comeback story in the making. Massive if true. Haas, Behrman 6th, Ocon 12th. Ferrari power unit means great starts. Haas could be a genuine points threat on a regular basis this year.
Do you think that Ferrari and Hamilton can be contenders this year?
It was tough, I have to say, watching Lewis in 2025. You know, we were teammates for 3 years. I understand how good he is. So it was really tough to see him struggle with the team, and you could see it in his face, how much it was hurting. You kind of forget everything else he's achieved at that moment in time because you just see the pain. But I think with the new regulation changes, we will see Lewis Hamilton back to his best. I really do, because he's going to have input in how the car is designed and have confidence in him taking in a direction that works for him. So I hope to see that. We want to see Ferrari at the front, and we all want to see Lewis fighting at the front again.
Jenson Button just said to the entire Formula One paddock is not just a warning, it is a declaration.
Surprised it probably didn't happen a bit earlier, really, judging by all the things that were going on last year. But it's you kind of something I said on Sky F1 is Lewis needed to go there with a team, so as at least they understood Lewis speak when he's inside the car, what it all means, and to interpret what Lewis really needs behind the wheel. I think he needed some help, so to really flourish there quickly. So let's see who turns up as his engineer now. But just listening to the radio and watching performance, and although they obviously put a varnish on it, didn't they, through last season, something needed to change. That image of you in the black coat in the square, the Schumacher Square at Ferrari, one of the most iconic photographs ever in Formula One, and what a shot.
Thanks, man. That means a lot coming from you. You don't,
well, I'm not exactly
have too many positive things to always say.
Well, that's not true.
And when you add Martin Brundle's voice to that same message, two men who know what greatness looks like, you have to ask yourself, is the world about to remember just who Lewis Hamilton really is? Lewis Hamilton himself wants to remember. No podiums, 6th in the Drivers' Championship. 156 points. His worst season in 19 years of professional racing. A nightmare in red, by his own words.
And it's an exciting time with this new generation of car as well, because it's all brand new.